What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Facility Management Marketing Podcast. If you just listened to my previous episode, which you probably should, it's basically me comparing the old method of marketing to the new method of marketing, how a lot of things have not changed, and you can still make a ton of money with your facility management company by adapting to these new methods of marketing. And I kind of give examples of the old and the new and how they're pretty much the same. So if you missed it, go back to one episode. All right, listen to that and then come back to this episode. Because what I'm going to give you right now is the secret formula to essentially growing your business online. All right, and so there's different ways on how to do this. So let me explain this. First of all, you got to know who you are going to be marketing to. We all know this. You're all marketing to facility managers, okay? We already know this. Like, that's a pretty obvious. Or you're all marketing to property managers, okay? That's a given. That's an obvious thing, all right? But then where are these people? Where are they congregating? Where are they hanging out? All right, because you know who they are, but where are these FMs and PMs hanging out? Do they go to networking events? Are they on social media, on LinkedIn? Do they go to conferences a lot? And I know I'm against conferences and networking stuff. Like, I'm not against it as in like don't ever do it. I'm against it as in that's your only source of lead generation. No, don't do that. Now, if you use it as hey, this is part of our business growth strategy because we can develop relationships and other things. Okay, cool. Totally game. But if this is what you're doing just to, this is our marketing, no, that's not marketing. All right, so you got to find out where these people are hanging out. Do they, do they connect offline? Do they go to, these different events? Do they congregate on a special online community? Like, where are they hanging out? Find out. Look for them. Do they listen to a certain podcast? Do they contribute as a writer? Do they, where are these people hanging out? Find them. And then once you find out where they are, then you want to create bait for them. You want to find ways in how you can get those people to be like, oh, that's interesting. I might want to go take a look at this thing. And that bait can be different things. That bait can be like maybe a lead magnet. That bait can be maybe a podcast, okay? And you're like, a podcast? You can invite them as a guest. That's a bait, okay? Because then you're doing like these interview questions that are really just your discovery call on a live call. Pretty brilliant, right? So you find the right bait for these people. Maybe it's, hey, I'd love to be able to meet with you and introduce you to a few other opportunities or my network of installers to do X, whatever that is. But you got to find the right bait that intrigues these people. And it has to be good. You can't just be given like crappy bait. Okay, so bait can be different. It's just something that's simple that gets there like, this is interesting. I think I want to know more about this. And then what you want to do is you want to show those people that you're going after with the bait that you have the results that you've given other folks in the past. And so this is what I mean. Get testimonials. Get people to actually know who you are by be like, man, you know who I am. You know where I'm located. You know what interests me. You give me something that's like creates curiosity. And then now you're showing me and how you can give me results as well too. Holy cow, I'm kind of interested. So get testimonials from customers. Create one or two solid case studies of customers getting great results. Like, create those, make them good. And when you do that, then that's the first secret. That's of creating that formula. And then so the second part is creating what we would call as a value ladder. Okay? And so the value ladder is very simple. Is that you think of like stairs going up, and think of the most basic thing in the bottom of the stair being like a freemium, okay? Something for free. So like example would be like canva.com, canva.com. They have a freemium offering where you can open a free account and design cool shit and be like a designer and basically like have stuff for like social media postings and other things, right? And then if you want to use other stuff, then they have a subscription model where they can upgrade you to pay the $12.99 a month. And you get all these other premium packages. all these other premium images and other things. Like that is a ladder, right? And you see this in almost everything. So what could you do for your value ladder for your facility company? The first thing that you can do is you can offer something for free. It can be a lead magnet that is like a pitfall list. Like, don't do this if you have this. Or it can be a checklist. Like, here are the 25 things that you need to be checking on your HVAC unit every spring and every winter. Or it can be a how-to list, or it can be an interview with the top HVAC company in the country that will help you create the perfect program. Like, it can be something very valuable. Okay, you got what I'm saying? So this is free. That's the bottom of your value ladder. The next step of that value ladder could be something that you sell. Maybe it's something that you sell for $30. Maybe it's something that you sell for $100. And maybe it's a mini course. Maybe it's something that gets someone like, man, this is really cool. This is very interesting. I mentioned this in my previous podcast, that you sell things, and that's how you grow your business. And they back themselves up, the FMs back themselves up into your company because they got something for free. They bought something that was very nominal. Like, it's easy to write off a $100 transaction. It's easy to write off a $500 transaction than it is a multi-million-dollar transaction. You see what I'm saying? So like, if you offer something that is very valuable, that can be like a DIY kind of thing. And then you maybe want to do like something that's more in depth. Maybe it's like a group learning. Maybe it's a 1 to 10 ratio of you training folks. Maybe it's like that facility company or that facility manager might have 20 locations in Colorado, and right now that those facilities are kind of getting managed by just a handyman that's just really good at like HVAC, plumbing, all these other things, but he's getting spread thin, and so you don't have the budget to hire like an IFM company. They don't have the budget to hire an IFM company, but they can, afford a handyman, but they need to train them. And you offered a course to train those folks, and you charge like $5,000 or something like that. And then all of a sudden, 2 years down the road, that company is now exploding, and they've gone from 30 locations in Colorado to now 300 locations in the Southwest. Who are they going to call? You. They're going to call you. Because you've given them value. They've progressed up your value ladder. And you might be thinking, but Javier, that's a lot of work for such small transactions for something that could happen in the end. Think about this. If they got something for free from you, bought something that's very nominal, bought some sort of like more in-depth training, and you did that for, say, 500 people over the course of, 2 years, eventually the ones that first came on board, that got the free, that got the small mini course, that got the more in-depth training course, and a year or two down the road, they're ready to go. As you're growing this list, people are going to be progressing up higher. And so you're building a pipeline of future business. Does this make sense? You're building a pipeline because you're laying a foundation of stuff. And as people come in, they come in for the free. They buy the little cheap thing. They buy the thing that's not too expensive. They buy the thing like, it's an investment, but I need this. And then all of a sudden they've exploded because now they've grown, or they got acquired. And now the facility manager is like, fuck, I went from 30 facilities to now 300 facilities in the Southwest. And we're expanding in the next 18 months. Like Dutch Brothers, that's kind of what they experienced. Okay, we were going after them in 2019. I don't know how many locations they had at the time, but they went from like X locations to like 200 in like 18 months. The Dutch Brothers next to my house, long line. It's like, it never ends. It can be wintertime and it's still like never ending. But that's what I'm trying to get to. When you create a value ladder, then the person almost have to come back to you because you've developed so much value for them. That's why it's called a value ladder. And that's how you can use it for your online business. And when I say online business, your facility company, okay? Not literally your online business, but like your facility company. Like that's how you do it online, okay? And so that's something that I would highly recommend. Now, the fourth thing that you can do here to kind of grow this business of yours is kind of create what would you consider as your dream customer. And so your dream customer, they have like, it's your most ideal, perfect scenario customer. Like, they don't complain. They love working with your team. They're very adamant in certain systems and procedures that you've created. They follow the things that you've asked them to do. You do what they ask you to do. There's a very open line of communication. These people are like, man, and unfortunately it's only 20% of your business, but you're like, I wish I was 80% of my business. Every IFM wishes that their 20% of like their dream customers was 80% of their business. And then that 20% of like their hell customers were that. And so, but this is how you do it though. Is you basically, you need to find where these dream customers are and replicate what they look like. What do they look like? What are their personalities? What is it that interests them? What is it that made them want to use your business? What is it that makes them tick? What does their team look like? How many locations they typically manage? What type of team members are managing these locations? What does their schedule look like? Are they overwhelmed? Do they have a big budget? Like, do you see what I'm trying to get to? Like, you are literally mapping out everything on here. And so what you're going to do is you create this, and then you're going to kind of create bait for those people that intrigue them, but you're going to create curiosity as you're creating this bait. So meaning, if let's just say that your dream customers love coffee, just an example, and you just know this, like all your dream customers that are amazing, they all love, I don't know, Dutch Brothers coffee, just an example, okay? And maybe you have an ad or something like that, or some bait that's something along the lines of, hey, if you are looking to improve your facility company, I can tell you right now, the only thing that you need is to improve your coffee, and then all of a sudden your facility company will, or your facility, your facilities will improve. If you improve your coffee, your facilities will get better. And people are like, what the hell is he? Improve my coffee? Huh, that's weird. And then they're gonna listen to it. They're gonna, if it was a video, if it was a blog, if it was an email, like they're gonna be like, that's really interesting. But then all of a sudden they find that common denominator, like, yeah, I am that person. That is me. You're speaking to me. I love Dutch Brothers, and that makes me function. That makes me do this, this, and this. That's how you find your dream customers. Okay? So then, moving on, I'm going to keep going because I have to end this here in a bit, is then like, once you kind of figure out where these dream customers are and how to create curiosity, then what you need to do is you've got to find a way to control where this is all coming. So like, this is what I mean. All these dream customers are in different places. And the traffic comes in different ways. It comes in from like traffic that you control, meaning like from your emails and stuff like that, to traffic that you don't control, meaning like ads and like search engine and stuff like that. But what you need to do is you need to kind of create like something that is in between the traffic and maybe what they want. Okay. And so this is what I'm getting to, is like you create a landing page, and that landing page might be something about like, 10 of our top facility managers are drinking this coffee, and this instantaneously transformed their facilities immediately. Learn how we did that by just doing this. And that creates curiosity, right? And then you start diverting traffic from like, you may be running ads to like people to go to this. You might be doing some social content creation or LinkedIn creation to drive people to this page. And then you deliver the asset on the other side. But that's how you start kind of creating your own traffic of your most ideal customer. from that ideal customer profile that you've kind of created, that I just kind of mentioned earlier. Okay, so then now that you've done that and you've gained this person as as a lead, then what you want to do is you want to start creating an attractive audience or an attractive character. And an attractive character is going to be somebody that is going to be like you, okay? The marketing genius in your facility company. And what you're trying to do is, let me explain this, is like you want people to be kind of like, man, I want to be like you, okay? And so there's elements on how to make this thing work. All right, so like number one, you got to tell backstory, and you got to tell a solid backstory. Like I do this in my first episode, and then I also tell backstories throughout my episodes, all of this. But if you don't listen to my first episode, which is my most downloaded episode, believe it or not, go listen to it, okay? And then you got to tell parables. You got to tell stories. You know, an example, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like this. You got to tell stories. And you got to admit to your flaws. Like you as an attractive character, you have flaws. I have flaws. But you got to embrace them, and you got to be okay with them. But then you also have to be polarizing, and you have to stand for something. Like I stand for certain things, and I will die on this marketing hill for this. But you got to stand for something. You can't be that person that sits on the fence, because people that sit on the fence get splintered up their asses. So those are elements of an attractive character. Now, the identity of attractive character is that they're either going to be a leader, okay? They're going to be an adventurer or a crusader. They're going to be number 3, a reporter or an evangelist, or they're going to be number 4, the reluctant hero. And typically for me, like I sit on that leader piece and maybe flirt with the reluctant hero. But like the adventurer crusader might be someone that is just trying new stuff. And it's just going through, whatever and documenting what they're doing. But they're just going crazy. The reporter evangelist might be someone that like interviews other people and is just basically interviewing like experts and people that are, in that space. The leader is kind of like what I'm doing. I'm leading a movement where I'm positioning myself as the person of knowledge and authority in this. And then the reluctant hero, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's the person that's like, I saved this industry. I saved this. I did this, like that sort of stuff. Now, the storylines can all be a little different. But you should have a storyline as well too. There should be a loss and redemption. There should be a us versus them. So loss and redemption, meaning like you should have experienced trauma. You should have experienced loss. Like I share this in my stories of like what I've suffered. There should be an us versus them. And this is huge. Apple is very good about this. Like when you do us versus them, it's Apple versus who? PC, Android. It's us versus them. And Apple users, very strong like community, right? Before and afters. You see this a lot in transformation photos. Before and after should be great for your facility company if you interview your facility managers, your customers. Before what their facilities were like, after what their facilities are like. Huge. Amazing discovery, like those aha moments, like, oh man, and then I discovered this and this changed everything. Those are great. Storytelling, like what I'm doing right now. And then the last thing is a third person testimonial. So that's pretty straightforward and obvious, but those are storylines that you can use to create your attractive character. And when you create your attractive character, all of a sudden what that does is that people are attracted to you. They're like, you're the person that I like to listen to all the time because you do X. Like I when I think of like, like the reporter, I think of like, these news anchors that have just, been in the industry for ages and who we grew up with, like that sort of stuff. All right. And then the next piece is that you want to add like email marketing to this. And I talk about this. Once you get that lead, that customer, after you've created your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and you create email sequences that are what we would call as a soap opera sequence, where you write something and you end on a cliffhanger, and you write something else and you end on a cliffhanger, and you write something else and you end on a cliffhanger, and you keep telling these stories, and people are like, oh, but I want to know more about this, or I want to know more about this, and you continue that same process. Okay, and so that just continues over and over again for several days, if not several weeks. Okay, and you do that for a while, and it's okay to do that. So every email you would send is like, it's going to set the stage. There's going to be high drama. There's going to be a backstory. There's going to be a challenge. They have to go over a wall. There's going to be an epiphany. And they're like, and then I had this, epiphany, and this is what happened. And there's this one thing that I did that changed everything. You tell these things within your emails, and then you share some hidden benefits, and then you create some sort of urgency with a call to action. So an example for yours is like, you set the stage for the first email, like they become a lead. Hey, thanks for joining our, whatever. And then you talk about high drama, like, we've seen so many facility managers experience this. And, back in the day, whenever I was managing facilities, my biggest challenge was this, and I had to jump over this hurdle, this challenge. And then I had this epiphany. And this is like the aha moment. And this is when I realized that I needed to hire an IFM. And the reason I needed to hire an IFM is because it freed up my time to do this, and I was able to do X. And the other benefits that was indirect to this was that I was able to spend more time with my family because I wasn't always managing and putting out fires. You see what I'm saying? And you tell these stories, and people relate to it. And then the next phase to like creating this audience of people that just love you is creating daily emails or daily Seinfeld emails. And yeah, you're going to want to send these on a daily basis. And these are going to be like these weird stories that have nothing to do with what you're saying, but somehow you tie it to that. So like, it can literally be, I was walking down the street and I tripped over a rock, and that's when I realized that if I don't have an IFM to watch out for me, I'm going to be tripping over things throughout my facility all the time. You see how I just like made something random about tripping over a rock and tied that into having an IFM help me with my facilities? That's what I'm talking about. And so, as you're doing this, okay, then the next piece is working, your existing traffic stream. So where are they coming from? Like, is it direct? Is it indirect? What's the demographics? What kind of offer can you offer them? What kind of landing page are you sending them to? What's their traffic source? What kind of ad copy are you going to be using? And so you're going to be streaming this information, this traffic, into different places. Direct traffic, meaning they're finding you directly through like a Google search. Indirect traffic might be like paid ads, okay? And then you basically are segmenting these people for things that they, what they need or where you want to put them through. And then you just figure out what's going to work as far as what's going to convert as a ideal customer. So this traffic is going to help you segment like, all right, this is the ideal customer that I'm looking for. And so that's kind of the best way I can kind of explain this. And there's this last piece here to this secret. Actually, there's a couple more pieces. There's a lot to this, man. I feel like I should end it on this last one because this other piece is going to be too much. Is the 7 phases of like a facility management sales funnel. And you know what? I'm probably going to end there because this is going to be too much here. So anyways, I hope you understand what I was trying to do is help kind of create the storyline of getting that perfect customer and how you take them down the path to where they are attracted to your business and yourself and what you offer, all of that. And these little things will help your business grow. It will help your facility management company, your property management company grow much more. All right, so couple of things or 3 things. Listen to my podcast, share it with other people. So please like share it, like send it in a DM, text message it, something. Okay, but please share this. Number 2, rate our podcast. Give us a 5-star review on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. I'd greatly appreciate that. And number 3 is connect with me on LinkedIn. Yes, I want you to connect with me. If you have questions, if you're like, Javier, what you just covered in this podcast, what did you mean about this one step? Or, I don't understand this. Or I love if you would cover this topic. Like, ask me. I'm happy to help, okay? So hope these 3 things helped. 3 things. Hope this podcast helped. And if you could please do those 3 things for me, that would help me quite a bit. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to everybody later.